Howdy, it's Matt and welcome to part 3 of the laminating series on how to laminate your RC models. And in this video we are going to be using some clear laminate to create hinges for our elevons on the back of the model. Now, so that's maybe something which you've not even considered doing before. That's something which we're going to be doing here on the workbench. Now, if you haven't been and seen part 1, now up here in the top right hand corner will be a link to part 1 where we laminate this model together in short, and we go through all the reasons why you would want to laminate your model, and then we just literally here work on the workbench and we get this model laminated up to I think about all bar one side, and we just have a good old chit chat, and I just make the point, laminating is easy. Part 2 where I showed you how to laminate some more intricate parts, which are these elevons, and I've just been and done both of them, and happy days, I did manage to get both of them done out of the tiny bit of white laminate which I had left over. In fact, I actually really do like that white laminate. I'm going to go and buy some more, but just be aware, that white laminate film or laminating film or covering film from Hobby King is very tricky to work with. I would strongly suggest working with just clear stuff first, and painting the model first if you want to put any colour on there. But yeah, this stuff for me it just comes out beautifully well. Anyway, getting on to topic, what we are going to be doing in this episode is cutting off a thin strip of laminate which we can then stick to the model, and that's going to then go on and create our hinge for our elevon. Now, there's a couple of different ways which you could use to fix your elevon to your model or your movable surface. Now, the easiest one, to be honest, and I'm just going to look underneath the desk, is you could just use some sellotape, okay? To be frankly honest, sellotape is going to work beautifully well, and it's going to work really, really well. However, what you could also use is Blendum. Now, I'm going to put a link to the Blendum video up there in the top right hand corner for you. Blendum is actually a medical tape, works out fantastic hinges, but it is slightly expensive. But that said, creates fantastic hinges, almost crystal clear on EPO models. And would be pretty much invisible on a model like this. However, there is a superior version, which is that sellotape, you can get water penetration in it, and when you get water in the seam, it puffs out and goes white and very milky. So I'm not going to be using sellotape for my model. Instead, what I'm going to be using is a superior method, which is to actually use some laminating film to make the hinge for us. And the reason why we're going to do that is because once it's stuck, it really is stuck and it's not coming out again, it's not coming off again. So with that said, I need to go and dig out the roll of laminate from the corner of the office. There we go. And what I'm going to do, unfortunately, the elevon is longer than that. Now, this is why I'm saying, if you buy a big roll of this stuff, you get to a point where you just really just don't care, is because what I'm going to do is that I need 2 straight edges. Now, the thing is that with this film, I do have 2 straight edges, and it's one edge on the top and it's one edge on the bottom. So because I want a nice clean edge, that's what I'm going to use on mine. Or what you could also do, if you're maybe a little bit thrifty, I think that's the word, tight. That's one of the words which we use in the United Kingdom. It's called being tight with the coat which you've got, is that you could just use a ruler and then cut your straight edge off that, and then you got a straight edge which you can do on there again. Anyway, I've taken myself off topic, and I am here looking for a longer straight edge. Brilliant. Now, how much film do you need to put or cut to make the hinge? And the short answer is enough. You need about a good ½ inch either side. So yeah, I'm here looking at that. The ruler is about 1 inch thick, and I don't think that's actually going to be big enough for this one. So I am going to cut off a little bit more. So I'm going to go about that wide, which again, I'm sure some of you will probably ask, is about 1.5 inches. Which is plenty, to be honest. That gives us lots and lots of wiggle room. Just going to hold that out straight. I'm also going to make sure, is that long enough? Which the answer is yes, it is. Now, If you wanted to save on film, then you could cut it the other way around and do 2 pieces and have a join. I don't want that, so I'm just going to go for a longer piece like so. And cut it lengthways. Just trim that piece off on the end. There we go. Obviously I've cut that really well, and I'm just having to go back over. Obviously not, yeah, I've not used a brand new blade. Naughty Matt. And I'm going to make a point here. Remember I was saying earlier, you need to make sure that you've got sharp blades. I am actually going to pause the mode and grab myself a fresh blade, because there's no, it's false economy skimping on blades, because they're so cheap. And you can buy them in, well, I'd buy them at 100 at a time. And thinking about my 4th box, 3rd box, I forget now. I've been through shed loads of them. And what I actually do with the blades which I've just taken off, I put it in an old motors box. So once we finish with the motors box, we can then dispose of them safely. And of course, they're not just spilled around the desk. The kids aren't going to pick them up, you know. It is nice, and well, they are safe as they can be. We're just basically using a motors box as a sharps box. So I'm just going to iron that up so that we get them roughly the same thickness, which we've got just there. And need to pick that up out of the way. There we go. Oh, that's a million times better. Just getting in there. Cutting that off. There we go. That piece came out. That was the difference of having a brand new blade. We didn't run into any issues at all. Right. Now, the way which I'm going to show you how to do this is the way which I use on my models, which is we are going to put the film on the surface first. In fact, why don't I just walk through the process, is that we'll stick the film to the edge, and we'll make sure we get it the right way around. And then what we're going to do, let me just show you on here, is because it's the best way of doing it, because then you make sure you don't end up with like restricting your Elevon movement. That's the wrong one. Let's get the right one. So what I'm going to do is put the laminate on here first, so then it's hanging over the edge, okay? And then what we're going to do, we're going to put it down on an angle, okay? So there's it up straight, okay? But what we're then going to do is put this on an angle, and that then means is that it will bring the Elevon away from the edge just a touch. In fact, why don't I just zoom in? There we go. I'm going to zoom right in as much as sensible. So if we put this on, held it up really, really tight against the edge and then laminated it, it means that we'll be able to pull the surface up, but we won't be able to push the surface down, and that's not what we want. We want the surface to go up and down. So what we're going to do is that when we actually get around to laminating the film onto the main body of the model itself, is that we're going to tilt this surface down a touch so that we have deflection in there, and then that means that we can move our surface up and down. Now I'm sure someone's going to also ask as well, Matt, are you going to laminate both sides of the seam? And that's really up to you. To be honest, for me, I'm not going to do that, because this laminate is 75 microns. It's good enough to make a good hinge on there. I don't actually foresee me needing to put any underneath. However, if you're a little bit paranoid, or in fact, actually what I might do is just up here in either corner, the places where it might tear, is that you could just use a little bit of laminate up underneath, or just a little tuck of sellotape, just to make sure in the 2 places where it's likely to break, which would be out on either extremity, is that you could do that. Okay, but I'll leave that up to you. And what I'm going to do on mine is that I'm bound to have a little bit of an off cut, and that's what I'm going to do with mine. So make sure moving on quickly, just making sure we got no dust on there. I'm just going to eye this up, and again I'm just going to do it by eye. I'm not after it for it to be exactly perfect, and you'll notice that I haven't trimmed it off yet. I will do that afterwards. And let's get in here. Okay. Again, medium heat, or just less than just below medium. I'm not trying to do all the way up. I'm just trying to do up to the edge, which I hope let me zoom in. There we go. Just trying to do up to the edge. I'm not doing it all because we don't want to heat up the glue unnecessarily on that edge. We want it to have the fresh stuff on there for when we present it to the model in just a moment. I'm just working my way along. Okay, no rush, just easing it along. The iron's doing all the work. I'm just pushing it around, you know. It's just really straightforward. There we go. And then we obviously we're gonna have a bit of an offcut over this end, which is happy days. There we go. Now I'm going to keep that offcut because that's I'm going to trim off just a little piece, and that's the bit which I'm going to use on the very edges of the wing afterwards. And I also need to clean out this inner edge as well, which again, if it doesn't cut one way, just turn it up the other way around and we can trim it up. There we go. Right, now this is going to be a little bit difficult for me to do because and to get this on film, because what I need to do is actually hang this off the side of the desk. And I'm going to have to move the camera, so you're going to have to see part of my belly, I'm afraid. There we go. You can probably see some of the mess on my floor down there. So what I'm doing, and let's zoom in a touch, probably a tad too far. There we go, get that in the centre. Is that what I'm going to do is line this up with the edge, okay, like so, and then I'm going to bend it over the edge. And I really want to make sure you can see this, okay? So let's get this zoom sorted out. So again, as you may have realised, that we leave all edits in. And let's zoom right in. Yeah, that's better for you, isn't it? There we go. Right. Okay, so what we're going to do is that I'm going to make sure it's lined up on the end correctly, like so. Okay. This wing wants to move around, so I want to put a weight on it. I'm just there looking for a weight. Box of wires, that'll do the job. Okay. Otherwise, it was trying to move around all over the shop. So yeah, secure the surface, or the part which you're trying to stick to, and there we go. So I'm going to present this up to the end. Now, do note that on the end, in fact, let me zip that down that way, is that don't forget on the end we've got a winglet, which is, in fact I need to move down a bit further, don't I? I need to put a winglet on the end, and if we put this Elevon right up to the edge, is that we're going to end up scuffing the Elevon, and that's not what we want. So I've come in a few mil off the end, I've put 3, maybe 4 mils off the end. Now I'm just holding that level, so that's in there straight. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to bend it down, okay? I've probably bent it down a good 30 degrees or so on the back, just over like the maximum angle of I would want in the sky with the servo movement of the surface. Okay, and I'm just holding that down, and then I'm going to tack and stick that down. There we go, trying to keep a uniform gap all the way across, like so. Again, no rush, taking our time. And I am now just going to crank up the heat a moment. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll do that in a mo. Is that what I will do is crank up, and there's our hinge. Okay, it's a very, very loose but strong hinge. Okay, look, how's that for a surface? How much resistance is that going to give the servo on the actual wing itself? It's going to be extremely little. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure that is stuck all the way along the edge, and what I will do is that I will run over that edge with a much higher heat to make sure that you've got a transparent seam. Now, I don't know if you can even see that seam. Can you see the seam? You might have just caught a glimpse of it just there on the edge. Okay, but that has been completely flawless across that edge. Now, what we'll also do, we've got an offcut here as well. I'm just going to cut that in half, and I'm just stab the model. Nice one, Matt. Is that what I'm then going to do is, and again, this is up to you whether you do it or not. What I'm just going to do on mine is, I'll zoom back out and I'll use that box to. There we go. We might be able to get that angle a little bit better. There we go. Like so. What I'm going to do on this one is that I'm just going to put, again, you could put laminate all the way along the edge, that would work, but to be honest, we only just need to tack the edges. So what I'm going to quickly do on mine is just tack a spare bit or an off-cut of foam here on the end. Let me see if I can zoom in. There we go. I'm just going to tack that piece on the end, like so. We're going to fold it over, like so, and do the other side as well. Brilliant. So that's the outer edge, and I've also got a piece here in here for the inner edge as well. There we go. Poke that on there. Make sure it's in line. Oh, you're not seeing that? You can see it now though, can't you? There you go. Just doing the flat edge piece first, so it's tacked in. Again, just folding it over with a bit of heat. And then we'll fold it over the other side. Like so. No, I've just been and done that, so let me go and put this on the camera for you. There you go. I've just tacked maybe an inch or so on that inner edge. I've just been and tacked another piece up here on the end. I'm just looking at that. I've just seen a tiny piece which I just can see some shiny white in it, so I know that the glue's not... there we go, that's perfect now. There we go. And I've now been and protected the two outermost extremities, which are the two parts which will are likely to tear. And yeah, I don't know if you can see that. Look how floppy that is, which is brilliant. You want a floppy surface. It means that there's very little resistance for your servos. What I like I said, what I will do, I will just quickly run up here on a high heat all the way along the edge, just to make sure it is as translucent as possible. Again, one of the reasons for me using laminate, or one of the reasons for you to use laminate as a hinge, is that it will be completely clear, assuming that you're using clear laminate. Okay, and of course we've got that two-tone effect with the white laminate on the back. For the Elevon, and we've got the red model colour as well. So there is our surface, more than enough movement which we need. Again, considering the width of this wing and the speed which it'll be flying at, that's more than enough. Well, we probably only need a tiny amount of movement, but there we go. That's how you can use laminate as a hinge. Okay, and as we've seen, it's a bloody fantastic hinge, and it's going to be a tough hinge because we've protected the two corners where it's most likely to tear. Really straightforward, and again, fantastic value for money, because that is pretty, well, it's not as cheap as sellotape, but because the laminate is much thicker, okay, and the glue is a million times stronger, we've ended up with a superior hinge on our FPV flying wing. So with that said, from myself, Matt, I want to say a massive thank you to you for taking, the time to watch this video. Any questions or comments about the process which we've been through here on laminating or using laminate as a hinge, please just let me know in the comments section underneath this video. If you've been enjoying this video, do me a favour, press the thumbs up. If you're new here and if you've been enjoying this series on how to laminate your RC model, do me a favour. If you're not subscribed, should I say, I'll spit my words out eventually, as you've kind of worked out, I leave all my mistakes in. If you're new here, you're not subscribed yet, underneath this video, there's a red button which says Matthew Ogborn and subscribe. Click subscribe, and by the way, I'm Matt, by the way, howdy. Click subscribe, and if you want to be notified of the next video, press the little bell icon and YouTube will let you know. So on that note, from myself, Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you again shortly. Cheerios!